Welcome back to my lovely 5D collective. As I was sharing, we have some beautiful cards today from the lovely Oracle deck of Mystical Shaman, our lovely Luminous Warrior. As you can tell, that lovely third eye. So being able to have introspection, being able to have a harmony from here to here, mind, body, that somatics is where mindfulness, meditation, mindsight, and mindset practices are supportive because you can contain all that your emotional body brings up and your mental body and your emotional body. And so left and right are friends. So your divine feminine, divine masculine, and that's a whole person who has a sense of self. You're aware of your core self, no shame button. So you have the capacity to respond because you're emotionally regulating. Okay, so that means self-regulation, accountability, and awareness is something easy, and or at the very bare minimum, you can do it with no clinical dissociation. Okay, so that's where if there's anything that looks like pseudo-aliveness or structural dissociation or clinical dissociation, a person who is aware, like me, will notice. And so that's where we can step in and say, okay, your window of tolerance, this is what happened. So what we want to be aware of is there's good therapists that collaborate with content creators and professionals that are life coaches, holistic, Reiki practitioners, because we care about mental hygiene and mental health, and your body and your mind, they, with your heart, store all of that, which is part of your life. And once you have access to it and you are able to, again, present it with us, that's why you join this luminosity. It's because when you have laundry, it means it weighs you down. So enlightenment is not something you can maintain as a vibration. As long as that's the case, you want to understand that that is called something that needs more practice so that you can make it easier to feel and think from being in awareness, which is maximum uncertainty, which is what mindfulness and mindsight always involve. Mindset, it depends, because if we're exploring with the verbs, the words, that's a cognitive exercise. And so that involves less of the feeling. But the minute that you begin to explore emotions, this is where things can take place. So you want to be aware about the body and the mind and heart, and an open heart. And then that whatever comes up is gonna be what you want to pause to explore, especially if there's, again, a deeper meaning to it. And there's no quick fixes. People who want quick fixes, they are not actively in the 5D collective. They want shortcuts. The only people who think there's shortcuts are teenagers who don't know how life in general work. And they do this, I want deeper development, I want life now. And they have gone to good therapy and they do that. And then they have a Zen master who says, yeah, we have laundry in our body. It's like, no, not really. You don't have to have the human suffering that comes from your temporal junction and ruminating. You can actively put into practice bringing your frontal lobes down and having an integrated brain. You can do integration. Come on, you can do it. We know you can. Just put your best foot forward. No, the 2 feet, 2 hands. Okay, so that's where let's be friends with the council already. And let's be a hunter, but not a hunter that doesn't know how to respect the ecosystem. Like Simba gets taught by his father, Lion King, anyone? Okay, the Rainmaker. So we're going to look at these in a minute. They came out to share with you some messages. Okay, so let's begin. As I read, I'm going to start with the council. That way you can hear a little bit. The council, the essence of the council. The council are the luminous beings who hold the collective wisdom of humanity. They are the ones before whom you will do your life review when you cross into the world of, we don't need to think about that right now. Do I need to read this? Well, it will put into place those good and bad deeds, and on a divine scale, and attempt to explain why we did not love or forgive or dare as greatly as we might have. Know that their wisdom is available to you at all times when you live in a state of yes, in an unconditional relationship with life. Okay, so this is where the human love comes into the mix. They remind you of your place around a sacred fire, which has been reserved for you since the beginning of time. You will claim it when you own your inner wisdom. You own your inner wisdom when you have a clear slate. Your implicit memory is part of that. The first 3 years of your life is that. So all sensations, images, affects, meanings, and behavior. which is why if you don't have a depth of love for yourself first, we have Pat Ogden with sensory motor, which is really important, and we have Peter Levine, Stephen Porges. So we have people, good therapists, work with the somatics, your body, child parts work, and EMDR, and they'll know if we need to wait, because modulated embodied self people and dysregulated need time, because there's a lot of the trauma stuff in there. We also don't need to waste time either. So some people make it sound very romantic. They romanticize versus go and authentically take those steps and keep themselves, because it's really not hard. It's every day. So it takes a person to want to heal. Pain, grief, empowerment, justice. As Patrick Tiahan, our childhood trauma survivor, says, and if you want, when you're ready, you forgive. So here we're already at that stage of you have the capacity to forgive your own household, for that's the place of where the shame cycle will have come from, okay? So it's only your home. It's not all of human beings. When we're talking about your body, as you have your child parts, okay? So we're personal development here, not society and all that other stuff. Okay, cool. So the good and bad stuff, that's really, I don't like to use those words personally, but what we can equate is Pacha, he keeps his promise to Cusco, even after Cusco basically had lied to him and actively was going to have him, because that's what Cusco, if you watch The Emperor's New Groove, you'll know what I'm talking about. Pacha is that aspect of good, if you will. Cusco is the aspect of the bad deeds, which is though an adaptive child doesn't choose to have trauma. Okay, so imagine someone trusting a kind person less. That's called the childhood trauma survivor has a distorted lens of their self, of others, and the world. Okay, so again, for yourself, you'll know if I'll use me. When I was using good and bad as a kid, I meant it with intent. And when I realized it, I said, I'm so sorry, Jesus and God. I take it back and I don't use those words ever again. And I believe in anarchy. Okay, and the anarchy was basically freedom of will for people to be who they are, and the law keeps us organized, and that's it. No judgment. So we are equanimous. No judgment. We have opinions. That's not a fact. Our opinions are not irrefutable facts. So if I don't like you, I'm not making it into truth. I will say I, subjective experience, don't appreciate, and then I can disengage from being in a relationship with you. Doesn't justify me treating you with hostility. That would be a bad deed, okay? So I would feel like, oh, that's pretty shitty. I'm being upset because I don't like, so that's, my conscience is not clear. It's actively weighed down as I'm doing something that comes from a place that is low self-esteem and indirect communication, passive-aggressive, no healthy boundaries, which is an active, in-depth conversation with someone with all the emotions, and then accepting that we are differentiated selves, so that you will like different things and I will. You will have different opinions and I will, and we might not match, and that does not have to create a splinter or a rupture. We actively can coexist like Sid, Diego, and Manny do, and actively create what is a herd, like our human species does, that continues to balance, like Simba's dad says, the ecosystem, and that's actively why our future will be just great and dandy. 5D mystic in the Enlightenment, so age appear. We will be great and dandy as we keep moving together with the support of all of that, which is invisible to the eye, and that the good science is no, 97% of what is out there is unavailable. And the mystics say, yep, and we know a lot more than you do, but it's okay because we can't prove it, and nor can you. You don't have the capacity to disprove anything, but you can keep trying. It's okay. We get it. We know the balance. So divine feminine here, we know the balance of all of it. Okay. And that's why the beautiful divine masculines, they know the balance too. It's not suffering. It involves nothing of the sort. It actively involves charges. Okay. So the hunter, let's get to the hunter. Before the dawn of agriculture, we hunted in the forests to feed our kin. The hunter never takes more than what the village needs to survive, often taking only one creature, the good kill. He is a master tracker who knows which path to follow to find success. Rely on your own skills to traverse the thick forest you are in to reach your destination. You need to follow the tracks left by spirit to claim your bounty, which is already prepared and being offered to you. Do not follow the maps drawn by others, as they will not lead you They will not lead you true. Instead, become the map maker. Find your internal compass and use all your senses, including your common sense. Don't settle for the roadkill. It could be poison. Be careful that you do not become the prey of your desires and fantasies. This is the medicine. Remember to not want more than you need, so you are not guided by unbridled ambition. It is okay to come home empty-handed. So for the hunter, let me do a couple of things because these got taken out of context. Number one, Sadhguru has a beautiful quote: in the vastness of the cosmos, everything is going perfect, but one nasty little thought in your mind and make it a bad day. That is lack of perspective. The other one that I was looking for, 1 second. Here we are. If I am, yes. Every time you check the time, remember life is ticking away. Time to focus on what is truly worthwhile. Also, Dharma. Dharma is not a teaching, philosophy, or belief system. It is based on clarity of vision about life here and hereafter. Okay, so when you're using self-worth, prefrontal cortex, you are going to understand how to follow spirit, which is your inner child adult. So again, no unresolved trauma. I want this to be clear. It's once you have claimed your sense of self, you're able to walk a walk and talk a talk with your thoughts and emotions independently from your herd. So I'm polyamory. Not everyone is. Somebody says, ew, okay. I'm a mystic. Not everybody is. Woo-woo. Yes, I say woo-woo spiritual so that everybody knows we take spiritual seriously, but it's okay. We take sciences seriously too. Okay? So drawing your own path means you feel this is what I embody. These are words that I feel and I share them. They're not identifiers. So it's not because if somebody says, no, I want to explain who you are this way. Now you say, no, that's not true. You might argue a little bit about it, but eventually, like, fine, you use your words, I'm going to use my words, okay? So the part about you doing your own thing, you want to be able and have you healed and you forgive your family and anything if you had any of unresolved trauma. I have to share that because as long as you're not ready to unconditionally love, then that means there's more for you outside of IHP to do with people like Patrick Tiahan. He is a therapist who's a childhood trauma survivor. I always say healed and healing. And he shares forgiveness. Maybe it'll come. And so anyone who still has what is anger and upset due to having been denied the capacity to have an inner child, you're still learning to reparent and then to become your adult. I'm the inner child adult version of myself. So I have fun. That's why Krishna Lila comes in. So you cannot, in fact, have me confused of where I want to go. I know exactly where I'm allocating my 24 hours for my career, for example, and how I need to make all of those ends meet. And in the absence of too much pressure, but also with realistic timing, and at the same time with the knowingness that all will be provided. So that's Dharma, that's being and doing. That's why divine feminine, divine masculine. Okay, so let me just try and make sure you understand. And when it talks about the poisonous, well, that's a whole other story. I don't want to make it too long because the sun is going out. So we'll just have another one at some other point. The Rainmaker. The Rainmaker is the master of manifestation who can call on the elements of nature to serve the greater good. When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great beauty, and benefit flow to all. So when we are bringing to all something with our words, with our presence, with what we're doing, that is why Source, and you will know, the 5D collective knows what this means. It means we support our ecosystem, our globe. We support each other to keep moving forward with what we're doing, with all of the governments, all the laws, everything. We have our 2 hands and 2 feet and we work together. So basic principle. But it's more than just that. When the power to co-create is used, again, with integrity, great beauty and benefit flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain only, everyone suffers. And so we see some people who actively are not bringing love. They want to box up evil people with demon and Lucifer versus knowing of good therapists that can help people. They want to box up everything that's happening in conspiracies, and they are actively just, so anyone who is not highlighting how we are intelligence and we are love And we can work together to co-create. The ones who are creating suffering, they are in fact fear-mongering with their words. You will know who they are. They create divides, and they box people up, and they dehumanize them by calling people demons and Lucifer. Like when the theologians decided to make Reiki into something that's a bad energy. You actively dehumanize and devalued an entire heritage of another group of people because it's not in your in-group. Anyone who is a faith, and I am a faith, will know it's bullshit. And that it's ridiculous. And it's so narrow-minded, and it's just so small. I always thought that there would be some people in these different groups that would actively know what they were talking about. Because the fact that you can't see over what is a 14-month-old I like, don't like, means you don't have access to the entirety of your own human being brain. As you don't know your biases. Means you're not a clear brain. You don't know what you're reading or how you're doing it because you can't think outside the box. Or basically be objective about yourself and say, wait a minute. Like when somebody says yoga brings demons out of you because somebody told them that, and you don't have a second to consider, wait, it's because I don't like yoga. Or because my group doesn't like yoga. Do I really think yoga brings demons out of people? I mean, that sounds kind of ridiculous. Okay, so suffering is brought by the people who actively don't know that humans, one, not inherently good or evil, and they don't know smart neuroscientists like Patrick McNamara and all the other scientists who say there's no demon possessing anyone. This whole evil stuff, if really we need to box him up, there's Michael Stone. He's a forensic criminologist. They all end up in jail. And then we got the ones on screens and people following them. So it'll be clear who they are, the ones without integrity. Oh, but they think they have integrity. You should see how fancy they look with their suits and how eloquent they are. Yes, impeccable. And then they exaggerate and they do all that fancy stuff that, again, Peter Pan's Lost Boys. So when the earth is parched, the Rainmaker calls the waters from the heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in people's hearts springs to life again. So we bring forth, again, that lovely human evolution, expansion of consciousness, and inner and outer well-being is when people have gotten to be healed from their childhood stuff, and they have an open heart, like Jesus taught me, and God, and an open mind, and an open body, and it's called your securely attached person, functional adult, so not adaptive child, not maladaptive, and or maybe you're a person who's working on those behaviors with functional adults. Why at IHP we're healing trauma one person at a time, one relationship at a time. That way we can support all people to have hell. No, hell is outside. No, it's not actually. So hell is the body of a person who has gut wrenched, torn apart, the shame cycle stuff, and doesn't heal it. Heaven is when you get to practice bringing your mind to mindfulness state with mind sight, because your body is finally a secure home for you. So you know how to self-regulate your nervous system. And so you have the social engagement system engaged, and so you're a safe haven, secure base. And that's when you get to know the luminous warrior of yourself, not because we do any worrying around. No, we do worry though, but we try not to. Okay, so the luminous warrior has no enemies in this world or the next. He is impeccable in word and deed. He focuses on his light rather than on what hides in the dark. Since he casts no shadow, he is as radiant as the sun and can transform his most terrible enemy into his ally. His power comes not from the sword, but from speaking his truth at all costs. The luminous warrior reminds you it is important to focus on your power, wisdom, and beauty. Do not be seduced by what seems wrong with you or with the world. Remember that intention follows attention. So focus on your positive traits. Feed your light with more light until you feel truly empowered. Then there will be little need for action as you resolve all situations from within. Are you being tempted by your emotions to follow your lower instincts? Are you being invited to enter into a quarrel with someone? Put your sword away. This is not the time for battle. Your enemy is not who you think it is. Do not act from place of anger that will damage your relationships and hurt the ones you care for. Find the truth hiding in your heart that will affirm your instinct for peace rather than for war. So people who know unconditional love, it's all the lovely functional adults, people who still have conditions, they can learn to be functional adults if they want. And here's again why the heaven first is here and here, where you can achieve emotional, mental, physical stability. And then with a self-regulated nervous system, which is every person's birthright, The restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating person can go out there, be friends with all. And again, like Sid, Manny, and Diego, but a Pacha with Cuscos and everything, we are able to bring more people home to their homeostasis and true self if they want. So they have to want to welcome their self. And to welcome yourself means you're deserving. And that's the one reason why they don't move out of the 1 to 3-year-old defectiveness, and then they follow people who are defective, and then they think that who is defective and who is broken is humans, and then they think that they need to shame humans and stuff like that. So it's an ongoing balancing. We'll continue the conversations, but as the light goes out, I will close us here. Thank you for stopping by. Please share with each other compassion and integrity. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. True love is I make a mistake, you can make a mistake, we can say we're sorry. True love is we're supporting each other to fly. True love does not mean that I will continue to be there if you do not learn to self-regulate alongside with me. True love is where I tell you things to your face and you tell them to me, and we keep on having what is a healthy self-worth relationship between two differentiated selves. So we're all learning to calibrate at our best and to witness, process, and heal, let go of those charges. That's why we share life. The unexpected, unwanted, and the uncertainties. But we don't do it in a nervous system that is in fight flight. That would mean that it's simply a re-traumatizing circle. So it's same energy, same weighing down, okay? No, we are rising up. The luminous, again, warrior, it means we're sharing, and so some will do it at that therapist. Others will continue after therapists with mindfulness, mindset, and then we also do it together. That's what we're here for, to build those deep connections, which are secure connections and secure attachment relationships. So romance and romantic anything, it's when people stick around. Love, stick around. Consistently communicating. Consistently laughing together. Consistently living all of the experiences of our embodied brain. It's not laundry, Zen Master. It's called emotions. It doesn't weigh us down. So again, we'll be back with more. Tune in, like, share, and subscribe if you know people who want to do spiritual and or secular self-help with somebody like me who want to hear about voices and stories and perspectives. And so again, thank you so much.